G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mind Force. Haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. I've been very busy. And I'm also planning to get back to making more videos in my kwon. But I will continue making my bus talks. I know some people like them. And today I wanted to talk about what the Encyclopedia Britannica says about Kung Fu. There was a time back in this day and age where you couldn't get information out of anything except books and magazines. And most decent scholars and people who loved knowledge had a expensive set of the Encyclopedia Britannica books, which are still excellent. But of course it's all online now and it's free. Now, Encyclopedia Britannica, unlike Wikipedia, was always edited by absolute experts in their field. So when they say something, you can guarantee it's by an acknowledged expert who really knows what they're talking about. Much as I like Wikipedia, it's very useful, but sometimes, there's a load of rubbish on there. So the Encyclopedia Britannica tells us that Kung Fu, which is Chinese word, what they call Wade-Giles romanization, and they say it means skill. Kung Fu means skill. It also means mastery through hard work. It's a martial art, both a form of exercise with a spiritual dimension, stemming from concentration and self-discipline, and a primarily unarmed mode of personal combat, often equated with karate or taekwondo, by people who really don't know the difference. The term Kung Fu can also signify careful preparation for the performance of any skillful endeavour without interference from the intellect or emotions. Now, this is the thing I wanted to focus on. I love the fact that it says it's a form of exercise with a spiritual dimension. That's absolutely true. I totally believe that our practice of Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is one of the true forms of Kung Fu, is about our physical development. It's about obviously being a very effective fighter. And it's also about connecting with the spiritual dimension of life. And I've talked about that quite a bit in the past. But here it says that stems from concentration and self-discipline. So that type of concentration it's talking about is a key thing. It's similar to what my Sifu Jim Fung used to call determination force, which is really Nimlik. He was talking about intent, the determination to do something, but it's like using the other type of mind. It's not the conscious mind. So in the last part of the definition, it says the term Kung Fu can also signify careful preparation for the performance of any skillful endeavour. So Kung Fu can apply to art, to cooking, to dancing, to really anything at all that you do. It says careful preparation for the performance of any skillful endeavour. This is the key thing. Without interference from the intellect or emotions. Without interference from the intellect or the emotions. So where have we heard that before? My original martial hero, Bruce Lee, who I've loved since 1967, for all that people write about him, he's written a lot of incredibly wise Wing Chun Kung Fu wisdom down, and I don't think he ever presented himself as a master of those deep things, but the great thing that Bruce did was he, as a born Chinese speaker, a born Hong Kong man, and also an excellent speaker of English. He was one of the first and still the best interpreters of Chinese thinking regarding this subject, regarding what is the spiritual dimension of Kung Fu, what is the spiritual dimension of Wing Chun, and how we achieve it. And he actually preserves some of the deeper things that Master Yip Man told him and probably told the others. So the key here is without interference from the intellect or the emotions. And I haven't got it with me, but in that poem at the frontispiece of the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, which is a book of Bruce's writings and sayings put together after he died by his wife and another guy, and I can't remember his name, but there's a poem that he writes, which to me is still one of the greatest poems ever written. I don't even know if Bruce actually wrote it. I suspect he put it together from other poetry and ancient Chinese ideas, but he says, into a mind absolutely devoid of thoughts and emotions, even the tiger cannot insert its fierce claw. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm going to make more Bruce Lee videos, actually. I'm a bit tired of holding back because a lot of people make videos about Bruce as sort of clickbait, but I actually know a lot about Bruce and I've got some interesting things to say about him. But what he's saying is the intellect and your emotions are essentially your frontal brain. Kung Fu comes from the subconscious, comes from the Nim Dao, which is located, according to our Sigong Chu Shong Tin, somewhere sort of below the top of the head, inside there, and others experience it more towards the rear. That's how I experience it. It's somewhere around there. I don't think it really matters exactly where it is in the brain, because it's possibly much more than just the brain, but that's the key. So I want to encourage you in your training to not only train the forms, not only do Chi Sao, not only practice on your dummy, but spend as much time or equal amount of time mindfully, quietly, learning how to stop the interference of your intellect and your emotions. I use music a lot. Me and my student Mark, who's a good friend and a great student because he always comes and he just politely listens to me and believes what I tell him, and he can do it. We just listen to Chinese music. We put on old traditional music and we get into that space, and often we'll go through a whole, hour and a half session. We won't say a word to each other really. We'll just stand there. Sometimes we don't even move. We just stand, feel the breeze blowing up from the sea, We just get into that space, and I teach him to dance the forms, to be super light, effortless, and imagine that he's just doing a dance. He's not learning to fight. And that gets the right state going. So it's really wonderful that here's the Encyclopedia Britannica from a distance saying this is what we've been told Kung Fu is really about, and it's exactly what it's about. And I've said this many times, but the person I consider one of the greatest successors to Sigong Chu Shong Tin is Sibuk Frederick Mo, who lives in New Zealand, who started training with Chu Shong Tin back in, I think it was 1955. So he's senior to my Sifu, who started in 1960. He's really, really, really high-level, amazing, humble guy. He states in his essay in Sigong Chu Shong Tin's book, The Book of Wing Chun, I think it's volume 2, it's got essays by his senior students, which were really excellent essays, really worth reading over and over. He states that what he loves about Wing Chun is that all punching's done by or initiated by the subconscious. And really, that means everything's initiated by the subconscious. That's what we're aiming to achieve. And you really only achieve that by learning how to access your subconscious, which is by quietening your intellect and your emotions. And anybody who's practiced for a while knows what it can be like if you go to a Wing Chun practice session and you know how you're supposed to be, soft and empty and effortless, but you've had a really stressful day. It can be really hard to get in, especially with chi sao, say, and especially if you're chi saoing with people who are trying to overwhelm you, usually new, strong people, but anybody who's trying to hit you or do something to show they're the boss, that can be super stressful and hard to actually back off, but that's sort of good for you too, because obviously to do this in a fight is not easy. To learn to be able to get into that state, it calms you down and you tend to find the stress disappears. But that's what Sebok Frederick said, it's all initiated by the subconscious. That's why it's called nimlik. It's the force that comes from the subconscious mind, the nim, the now present heart mind is what the Chinese best translation I've found is. And I've said this before, don't think, feel. That's what Sil Nim Dao means. Dao means the form, but Sil Nim means little. Nim means this special mind, the subconscious mind. So little really just means don't use your conscious mind, use the Nim mind, the subconscious mind. So there you go. You've learnt something about Wing Chun from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, well, thanks for following. Thanks for watching. Please comment. And I haven't had a lot of activity on my site recently. I've been doing a lot of work on my Viking Superpowers channel, which I'm very excited about. And it's out there, but if you've got a bit of an out there mind and interest, you might like it. Viking Superpowers. Otherwise, just give me a quick shout out. Just put a comment. Hi Dave, I'm here, still watching. Make any suggestions you want. I'm not going to let this channel go. I've put so much into it, I feel like I've pretty much said everything I need to say, to tell the truth. However, I'm not going to stop making videos because I feel that the truth is not solid and it can come at unusual times. And this came to me today. I can't even remember how I found that. I think I was looking for something else, and it just came up, the definition of Kung Fu. Anyway, have a great week, and I'll see you again soon.